Okay, so I'm curious though, like with all this pressure of starting over, how many times have you started over?
Girl.
Way too many times. Hey everybody, welcome to Break the Norm podcast, where we break free from the so-called normal and build something real, bold, and unapologetically you. I'm Ruth Solorzano, actor, producer, and living proof that you can come back from most things.
And I'm Lily Shaw, actor, mentor, creator of Shine Anyway course, and someone who's never believed in playing small. It's time to break the norm.
Together. Season finale.
Is it that time of the year?
It's the season finale. Thank you to everyone who's been listening for listening this whole season. It's been fun.
It went by so fast.
It went by so fast.
It went by so fast.
I know, but we're going to be back for season 2. So
yes,
we've been prepping, and we're really excited to bring some fun stuff. But
yes.
Right now we're recording in August, and we recognize that this will probably come out in November when it's like new year, new me time.
Yeah, and this is like a conversation that we were actually having, just the two of us as like artists and entrepreneurs, and realizing like this time pressure that gets put on us, right? Every time, like the start of the year, end of the year, middle of the year, first quarter. So, it's
all
like
the quarters.
All the quarters. Like, oh my God, like when do you actually get to live your life versus like just like meet this arbitrary timeline that gets set up for us?
Yeah,
you
or
know?
restarting. I feel like we're always just like forced to like, okay, it's New Year, so I have to like come up with new goals. I have to have like a new plan. I have to figure something new out. And it's like, why?
Right. So this is why we decided to end it here on this conversation.
Yes.
Recognizing that this is going to be end of the year and that maybe just we can break the norm and not get so flustered by these artificial deadlines.
Yeah.
And maybe stay the course.
Yeah.
And keep doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
And keep having faith. And so we're going to do a deep dive into that and share experiences about that. And you will let us know if it bugged you or if you loved it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I'm curious though, like with all this pressure of starting over, how many times have you started over?
Girl.
Way too many times.
Here's what I'll say.
Yes.
Psychologically, what happens is I am an actor but I've also, I think we've talked about this, like I'm also somebody who has had a lot of outward, like in the world successes. So when I started experiencing failures as an actor, like I started internalizing that and I started thinking that there must be something wrong with me. And that's why I'm not having the success that I wanted. And that mindset led me to start over pretty much after every failed audition. I was like a wreck for I want to say like years, like before I figured out that this is the pace of the industry, but I was second guessing myself all the time. And pretty much every so-called failed audition led to like a new beginning for me. And the long and the short and the long of it is that I never quite settled into my lane, into my strengths, my kind of course of action, because I was always constantly adjusting myself to become the version that would book roles in the business.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I identify with that. I was like that in a way. I mean, I kind of always knew that the business of this business is to fail. I mean, I remember I went to a workshop and one of the casting directors, it was Mia Cusimano. I don't know if you know her, but she's a casting director out of New York. And I remember her saying that auditioning is the job.
Right.
Like you have to be that's the actual job. Like that's what you're going to be doing more than anything else. And I remember that like helped me kind of reframe my mindset around auditioning and like realizing like, oh, it's okay. Like and that's also in school, in theater school, they tell you like you got to have 100 auditions before you're going to book one. Yeah. Which is kind of an interesting way to put it. I don't know if I kind of agree with it because it's kind of true. But it does kind of give you kind of have to have like a thicker skin.
Yeah, no one told me that. I must have been sleeping that day.
Yeah, well, and it's not even
that
just
year.
yeah, it's not even just starting over. I mean, yeah, we're actors, but it's also just starting over in life. I mean, I don't know about you, but do you do a vision board at all? Like at the beginning of the year?
Not at the beginning of the year, but I have one that
Yeah.
I like stays with me forever.
Really?
Yeah.
That like stays with you.
I created one years ago, and then I have added things to it, and I have taken things off of it. But the fundamental thing of it has, like, I can literally, without even thinking about it, can just like tell you exactly what photo, what page, what image is like on my vision board. Like, that's how much it has stayed with me.
That's really, I like that because it seems like your vision has kind of like stayed the same, but also you've been able to add or subtract to it.
Yeah, that's that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been able to recognize what doesn't work for me, and then be able to move on from it and not take it as a failure, which was a huge lesson for me because I was so used to winning at everything that even a little bit of it was like, oh my God, there's something wrong with me.
Yeah.
So just being the act of like being able to give myself the grace of not judging myself from every victory and failure was like has been part of like one of my greatest like personal successes.
Yeah. I think for a long time for me, when it came to like a vision board or when it came to just like the new year, I'd be like, oh, I have to, what else do I need to put on my plate? And not realizing that my plate might have already been full or might have already been overflowing. And maybe I needed to take some stuff off of my plate, which is kind of an interesting way to approach a vision board. It's like, okay, maybe you approach it, but like, what do you not need anymore?
I have done enough of those. This is now a community meeting, and we have this worksheet, and we're all working off of our like quarterly goals, and so what ends up happening most of the time, and again, I think this is me speaking as an actor and as an entrepreneur, is that we as actors really don't hit our goals, right? And what ends up happening, I think, is that that like this whole vision board exercise or like creating a plan, it becomes this exercise of like self-worth and like self-proving.
Oh,
right?
yes.
Like, if I was good enough, I would add 5 more things and then I would do them.
Right.
Right. And of course, I can't take anything off because I haven't achieved any of those other 10 things that were already on my board. So I think that's the mindset that goes into like you said, what else can I do comes from this need to prove yourself worthy of your own goals and dreams.
Right. And because, so much of this business is about like outside validation, right?
Yes,
and
yes.
it's about like people giving you that permission rather than you being able to kind of like take control and do your own thing. And I mean, that's part of, we've talked earlier in the season, I remember we talked to Giviod, and he talked about how he was, he took control. He made the steps. He's the one who like made his own work in order to get himself to where he is now. And like, that's kind of where I'm at, where, I'm not waiting for other people to give me permission. I'm at the point where I'm like, actually, let me come to the table with what I want to do, but let me also stay focused and let me not put everything on my vision board. Let me say, okay, what are these 3 things that I really want to do, or that I really want? What are my values? What are the things that are going to align with my values in the long run? And I know we talked to Pam too. Pam talked about like your values and like really figuring that out. And so maybe that's like a helpful way to kind of look at your new year, is like, do your goals align with your values? What's actionable? And what do I have the bandwidth for?
Yeah, that's the conversation, isn't it? Like, do you start over or are you staying the course? Right? And I think we fill ourselves with this idea that just because it's New Year, that somehow it's gotta be new, because let's face it, the year before sucked. So we're like, let's bring more energy into our new year. So I think some of it is just the anticipation of making the year better than perhaps what it was the previous year. But then I think some of it is also just the fact of Oh my God, I completely lost my thought. Of what was I supposed to say?
You were saying making the year better, or trying to feel like you need to make the year better because the last year sucked.
Yeah, and that's right, and that's where the bandwidth, what you were talking
Right.
about, it part of it comes in, because the bandwidth is not a judgment on your skills or your capability or
No.
your capacity. It is just that everyone has 24 hours in a day, and we have to prioritize what we can do in those 24 hours that are going to be most satisfying for us, that is going to allow us to show up in the way that we want in our families, in our community, with our pets, with our kids, go hiking and achieve our goals. So what is so wrong about saying, hey, I have too much on my plate?
Or I have enough.
I have enough. I want to stay the course. I'm still, and I think that was going to be, that was going to be my next point of like, do your goals still light you up? Do they still excite you? Do they make you want to get out of bed first thing in the morning and be like, I can't wait to do this today?
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if it's only 3 things, or if it's 10 things, or if it's 20 things, or if it's one thing. And I think that is the concept of starting over that needs to get restructured, right? Like looking at it not as an enemy that needs to be conquered, but as a partner who's there to support you when you need it the most.
Yeah, definitely. And it's interesting because you say goals, and I think I've talked about this before, but I had worked with somebody who had talked about goals and approaching it as like a commitment. Instead of a goal, think of it as a commitment. You're committing to yourself. You're committing, I'm going to do it, because it just kind of reframes it. It's like, do I have, one, the bandwidth, the time, the money, the energy to commit to this thing? And I feel like having that kind of a perspective really helps you be like, oh, wait, do I really want to commit? Like, think about it like as a relationship. Like, am I going to commit to this person? Am I going to commit my time, my energy to this person? So then think about like your goals as like, am I going to commit to these things? Like, do I really want that? Like, is that really what I want in my soul? Because I think that figuring that out is going to help you distinguish what is a valid commitment and what is maybe just some fleeting thought, or maybe it's something that you thought you wanted, or maybe it's something that someone else put in your head.
So then I guess the next question then is like, how do you know? Like, how would someone know that this is what, like, this is a gut thing, a purpose-driven thing versus like someone else's projection on you?
Right. I mean, we've talked about it before, what are your values? What are your non-negotiables? What are the things that you want in the grand scheme of things, right? Like,
And
what is
maybe
that big thing, and does it align with that?
And maybe that's where the vision board thing comes in. Right? Maybe that's where instead of choosing or rather starting over every year, the vision board becomes the bigger picture of like, hey, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, this is where I want to be. And then your starting over is more about like, this is a new, like, I still want to be like, for both of us, like, right, being on TV is a big thing, right? We both want to be like regulars on TV, but hey, we tried it this way. Maybe we can try it this way this year. So maybe changing tactics.
Right. Your approach.
Your approach could be a better use of the new year planning versus like going, well, this goal, I didn't do this, I didn't do this, I didn't do this, and being like, okay, wait a minute, I still want to do this. Like, we still want to be on TV, and we have tried auditioning, let's try networking this year, right? Maybe that could be, I think, a valid way of approaching and not letting it overwhelm you, right? And not letting it become, and that's where also the gut thing comes in, right? Because that's also where you'll be able to disconnect from the outside noise, from the algorithm, from like, this is what my friend is doing, and just be able to be like, my friend has this audition, 25 auditions, and I only have 4. And you can be like, okay, what she's doing is working for her. What can I do that'll work for me?
Yeah, I mean, that algorithmic pressure that you're talking about is just too real. Like,
It is.
way too real.
It is.
It's constant. It's just like always in our face, like what other people are doing. And I mean, to be honest, like the mute button is my best friend. Just, it's
That's why I
okay.
never get answers back from your texts.
Oh my God. She's
Not
right.
true.
No, I'm kidding. But that's the thing is it's like letting go of that like comparison of constantly comparing yourself to other people's journey. I mean, I'm a victim. All of us have done it.
Yeah,
all of
of
us
course.
have to constantly do it, unfortunately. And just really knowing that what you want and your commitments or your goals are your own, and you don't have to seek outside validation or outside anything for it. You just have to go with what your gut tells you and what your values tell you, and I think that that's enough.
And I will also tag on that if you don't know what your gut looks like, sounds like, feels like, then that is a step one journey thing
Right.
that needs to happen right
Maybe
away.
that goes on your vision board.
That exactly. So like adding on those kinds of skills and talents that are going to make you more of the person that you desire to be could be the new era of starting over. Hey, I can't do a New York accent. Okay, maybe this year as an actor, I'm going to try to do that, right? So I think those like more of the brass tacks and like the bottom line skills may be a better use of your time rather than like always going back and being like, well, this sucked and this doesn't work, and and let me ask this expert and let me go and get another class. I think the way to your dream could be starting over and not necessarily your overall dream. Which then brings me to the next point of what does a spontaneous in the gut decision look, feel, sound like? How has that been your experience? Because you're also a pretty in the gut person.
I'm in the gut person now. I mean, I think for a long time I didn't even know what my gut felt like, And I mean, that's like what you just said earlier was maybe that's your goal. Maybe that is the commitment that you're making to yourself of like knowing what my gut feels like. And that in itself is like a whole thing, right? I mean, I didn't grow up knowing that. Some people, there's a reason why there are certain people who just like are so confident and like get it because maybe they were nurtured that way. They were taught to kind of like trust themselves a little more, right?
Yeah.
But I wasn't. And so that was something that I really had to learn and commit myself to, of like knowing, getting in tune with myself, getting in tune with how I feel and knowing that like how I feel is right. Because I think for so long I was just doubting it. I was like, well, no, how I feel it can't be right. Like I don't know what I feel, I'm relying on other people.
Especially when the answer is simple. It's like, oh, no, it can't be this easy. It has to be difficult.
Right. Yeah. And like learning that I think that that's also just like upbringing sometimes where you're just like always hitting hurdles. And so at least for me, I was always hitting hurdles growing up. And then you just think that that's the norm, that that's the way things are supposed to be. Like everything's supposed to be hard. So
Especially if you're a
life's
woman.
hard.
And you hadn't mentioned that. So
Yeah.
That's our bingo card for the season. Because the women are, like we have to balance everything and blah, 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 and have to be perfect and look perfect and blah, blah, blah. And I'm not going to go into that. But like as a woman, you are expected to surmount and face more obstacles, right? And then you're expected to like succeed despite the obstacles. And that's when you prove yourself worthy of being a success and having access to your gut. Because the first thing that gets cut off, especially I think in a woman's upbringing, is her ability to trust her decisions and trust herself.
Right.
That's the patriarchal upbringing.
Yeah.
But that is even more true today of young women and young men who are so, let's go back to this algorithm conversation, who are so like brainwashed, and yes, I'm going there, by the algorithm that they really don't even know that what they are watching is not like something that they're just supposed to automatically digest, that it's something that they're supposed to take, absorb, and then take the time to pause and reflect and see whether it is meant for you or not.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about. I mean, we haven't talked about, but we might talk about it.
We will.
ChatGPT and
We'll bring that up.
all of this stuff that we're AI, all these things we're inundated with, and I mean, it's a tool, and I think it has uses, but I do think sometimes it can get in the way of like really knowing like how to make a decision, an instinctual decision of not like being like, oh well, let me just ask the AI bot because I don't know it, and it's like, well, wait a minute. Maybe I do know. Maybe I just need to give myself a little bit more time.
And I think in the end, that is the purpose, right? In the end, I don't know if this is capitalism or patriarchy or if it's just how like business mindset works. I'm not sure for-profit business works, but distancing yourself from your truth and inserting anything else. It used to be the world. It used to be men telling women what to do. It used to be parents telling kids what to do. Now it's the algorithm telling teenagers what to do. It's ChatGPT and AI telling you, you entering your relationship problem, and then AI telling you that it's not your fault, it's the other person's fault. Making you like, they actually say what you want to hear. The whole purpose of all of that is just distancing you from your gut.
Right.
And I don't know why. I'm not an expert, and this is a conversation we will have at some point because I am very curious about this. Like what I mean, to me, as a layperson, it sounds like it's a way to distance us from our power.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And they are having us outsource our power to anything out external, right, of ourselves. So the goal of starting over may be about bringing that power back to yourself, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that's where a spontaneous in the gut decision is perhaps the first step towards even deciding whether you need to stay the course or start over. You need to just first know like who you are when there is no noise around you.
Right. And I mean, we've touched on this before, but I mean, there's so many things, like so many ways that we can just like disconnect. And I think that has been like so lost in our society, just
oh my God.
Disconnecting. I mean, anywhere you go, everyone is either on their phone, on their headphones, like it's constant. It's just noise.
Yeah.
Always. And it's like all that noise, of course it's going to cloud your vision. Of course it's going to cloud what you really truly want. Like there's no way around it. It's meant to do that.
It's exactly.
It's made to do that.
It's made to do that. And all of these timelines also come in exactly in that place.
Yeah.
They are meant to make you second guess your decisions.
Yes.
To go seek someone else's opinion and have them validate you.
Right.
That's where all of this, although I'm a huge fan of Vision Board, but that's where all of this like timelining things and quarterly breakdowns and numbers and all of that comes in because it's constantly asking you to live to someone else's expectations. And perhaps in breaking the norm, we now live to our own expectations.
Right. Yeah.
Which could be taking things off, putting things on,
sitting with
down,
what you have.
Sitting with what you have, feeling enough.
Yep.
Doing the smaller things that lead to those bigger successes. Committing to doing one thing at a time, maybe prioritizing community or like-minded, aligned connections.
Or even your family.
For
a long time, I didn't do that, and now that's something I'm working on is building relationship with my family and prioritizing those relationships and knowing that those relationships like are what are going to stay with me, for the rest of my life, and that's something that I didn't grow up with. And so it's weird how like when you decide to tackle those things that maybe are a little scary, a little intimidating, can be emotionally draining sometimes.
Yes.
But like when you finally decide to kind of like put yourself out there and do the thing, how the return is so much better than you could have ever imagined.
Yeah, right. And what I would say is not expecting the return to happen right away,
Of course not.
right?
Yeah.
Like, and that's where the whole algorithm thing comes in again.
Right.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep going back to that.
Yeah.
Of like, I didn't get, I only got 5 likes.
Instant gratification.
Instant gratification.
That's the world we live in right now.
And that is the whole problem behind constantly starting over. I'm not getting what I wanted, in the next 15 minutes. That means I've got to start over.
Not even in the next 15 minutes, in the next year, in the next 2 years. Honestly, like, shit takes time. Like, it's just the way it is. Like, if you anything like really like worth doing takes time.
It does.
It just does.
And I think you and I are both living, breathing examples of how you can feel complete in any given moment and yet keep striving for more. I think that if anything, I hope like that's what our audiences are taking away, that you don't have to wait for some future version of yourself to feel proud of yourself. Who you are right now in this moment, this person who tries and fails and hates that she fails is still good enough to be a millionaire, to be a movie star, to have 1,000 clients. I don't know what the numbers are these days. That I think that is the big takeaway message, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. It's funny because you say those things and like, I don't know, maybe one version of me wanted those things, like, all the fame or whatever.
But we still want those, right? Like we probably just don't want, like, none of us are like aspiring to be Tom Cruises, but
no, but yeah, of course. What I really want is just to like live a sustainable, good life where I feel like I can support myself and support others and, have fun doing it. That's also kind of where I'm
That's
at.
the big thing,
right? Because I'm like, I see so many people who have like hit a marker of like success or whatever that means, and they're so unhappy. And it's like they might have the millions of dollars, they might have the millions of followers, they might have all of this stuff, the nice like shoes, the nice cars, whatever. But it's like at the end of the day, like their family life sucks, their relationships suck. Like, it's always like it's finding the flow.
I mean, and I think we can. This may not be where we go, but like all we have to do is look at the presidency. The guy, the president right now, he is the prime example of what it means to have everything and yet be not satisfied by it,
right?
And yet not feel accomplished. And I mean, his presence has diminished the American presidency, so that is also a huge component of it, right? This idea that if you are not in the flow, if you are like, that if you can just like, you're in the go, that somehow like the money doesn't heal the emotions and the emotions are not going to feed you. So you need both. And that is where, you learn to live in this, like you were saying, the sustainable life of like, hey, maybe I don't want $1 million. Maybe, I want to be, I don't know, like 500,000, whatever.
Yeah, I want to be a 500,000-aire.
Right? Whatever. And that's the other thing, right? If your ambition doesn't scare you, then it's not big enough for you. So it has to be big enough. So if you're somebody who can be like, oh yeah, I can make 100 grand in my sleep, then you better be aiming for $1 million. Right? You better be but you also have to know that you are not going to be a failure if you don't make the $1 million.
Right. And you also have to know, I mean, we talked about this in our Pam, our money episode where, there's multiple types of wealth.
Exactly.
Right. And so it's not just about this like physical wealth, like this money wealth. It's about like familial wealth. It's about like your relationships. It's about like feeling good where you live and like just all these other factors that I think that our society just like negates.
And I think something that like culturally that we're all becoming hip to is this idea of like standing up for others, standing up and being the voice of people who can't stand up for themselves. That is a new like addition to what it means to be a complete human being.
Yeah.
Being kind, that's a new thing.
Oh my God.
Like, What? That's a thing? And see, I knew I was supposed to win the Nobel Prize in something.
Yeah.
Right. So I think it's restructuring what it means to live, what success means to you, defining that, and then connecting that to your gut and understanding whether or not what you want is actually what you want, and then staying the course. Right?
Yeah.
Instead of just constantly being like, let me tweak, which is what like this whole yearly thing like drives me insane of like, now I have to sit down and create my goals again. No.
My goal last year was to keep doing exactly what I'm doing. That was my goal last year. My goal was just like, I just want to keep doing what I'm doing. Just want to keep doing it. Just getting to the finish line. That's all I want to do. I just want to keep running the course. And like, that's a totally valid goal.
And look at what we're doing. I mean,
look at what we're doing.
We did it.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a huge win for us.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, given the fact that at the start of the year, we didn't even know each other.
Exactly.
And now we're partners. And we're not just thinking about like, you know, like a season or two. We want to actually use this platform to bring sustainable, long-lasting change. Right? So this isn't just like a fleeting thing.
Yeah.
And it didn't happen in a year.
No.
I mean, both of us have been independently thinking about doing this. And it took us, what, more than like a couple years to be sitting here right now?
Exactly.
And that wouldn't have happened if we hadn't stayed the course.
If we hadn't stayed the course.
Now let's talk about the one final thing, right? We talked about the staying consistent, checking in with your gut, and then now is knowing when it's time to pivot and it's time to let go what's not working. So have you been in that phase in your life ever?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, duh. No, yeah, I mean, I guess to stop, I guess I'm trying to think of a specific example of when I've like, I mean, I guess when it comes to just like mindset, you know, when there was a while there where I was constantly beating myself up for not doing the thing or feeling like I wasn't enough or feeling like, you know, just everything I was doing.
External decisions.
Yeah, exactly. Like feeling like everything I was doing was wrong or something. And then I had to be like, wait a minute, no, stop. Like, and part of that was also just me, you know, meditating and like also listening to other people, listening to just mentors and things, and just like realizing that the negative self-talk wasn't working anymore. And that was a thing that I was doing that I was like, I need to let that go. I need to like really actively let that go. And for a long time, it was just me laying on the ground and meditating and just like constantly telling myself that I was enough, even if I didn't believe it.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And that was a journey. And that took years for me to really like cement it in my brain and to finally believe it. Because like you can tell yourself all you want and it's so hard to like internalize it, you know.
And yet it sounds like this is more of an example of staying the course, of like you knew that you didn't want to keep identifying with the past yourself, but but you didn't just stop at the first failure. Right. You stayed with it and got to that mindset.
Well, right. It's both, right? So I like pivoted because I was just like, wait a minute, this isn't working anymore. Because I think that that's also part of it where you almost think that like by you minimizing yourself or by you like saying, oh, I'm not good enough or something, like that's almost like a tactic.
Yeah.
You know, that you use. So you're like, if I say that enough, then, you know, maybe I'll surprise
myself. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And then you realize, oh, wait, mentality isn't right. Actually, let me try something else. And then I pivoted and then, yes, I stayed the course. And then that led me to where I am now. So I think that all of these things kind of like work together, right? They work together. You reconnect with what you want, with what your values, your vision is, and then you realize, oh, wait, what I'm doing right now isn't going towards my values and my vision. So let me trust my gut and let me pivot to this direction. And then I'm going to pivot and I'm going to stay the course.
Oh, nice.
You know? It's like a little map.
There you have it, the blueprint.
Yeah, but you know, in order to get that there, I had to stabilize my nervous system.
Yeah, I think that is, before we get to that, like there is a natural stopping point of things, right? Things have a shelf life. Things are there with you. Like, not everything is supposed to last you for your whole entire life. Some things, what do they say? Some things are in your life for a season, and some things are in your life for, I don't know, for a lifetime, whatever the quote is. So I think recognizing when you have outgrown something because it doesn't light you up or because it upsets you more. Like, I'll use this example from this year. Like, I have always been a very politically aware person. But this year, literally last year, November, whatever, the next day after the election, one of the first things I did was turn off the news. Because
Had to.
you're right. Like, having lived through it the first time and knowing kind of intuitively what was in store for us, like, I made that decision. And even today, like, I have friends and like family members who like come to me for like news information and for political commentary. And I'm like, I don't know. And they can't believe it. Like, they're like, how, what do you mean you don't know? I'm like, yeah, I am plugged out. So even for them, like, even just this little tiny thing gets a reaction back from the people in my life because they're not used to seeing me in this one role of like somebody who isn't in the political know. And I'm like, I'm not. I don't know. I have no opinions. And that little bit is like enough to, first of all, make you pivot. And second of all, like, start that connection with yourself, right? Knowing I have had enough and I need to get off this crazy train, whether that is good or for bad, and knowing fully well that in some way, shape, or form, it's going to upset your ecosystem is, I think, that's where the balanced nervous system aspect comes in, right? Because we have to know when it's time to pivot and we have to be okay with the discomfort, personal and family. And then we have to have the body awareness, self-awareness, the body strength to go through the necessary change.
And it's interesting because, I was also politically tapped in for a while. And it's not that I'm not anymore. It's not that I don't care about what's happening. Of course I do. But, I heard someone say one time, pick one thing. Pick something that you care about, and that's the thing. Because if you try to focus on all of these things that are happening, you're just going to drive yourself crazy and you're not going to get anything done. And that's how I feel about politics in a way too, where I'm like, yes, I believe in certain things. I have certain values when it comes to, politically, but I also I can't live in that space all the time because my nervous system can't take it. Because if I do, then I won't be able to do all of these other things that I know can help on a different kind of a level. Like, even for something like this, like, for me, my thing, I guess I would say is mental health, is really tapping into yourself so that you can help others, because you have to, as RuPaul says, take care of yourself. You have to love yourself before you can love anyone else. Can I get an amen? And I'm not religious, but you know what I mean? So I think that it's so important to really find, like we said before, your values. Like, what is that thing that really lights you up and that can help others, but also help yourself?
Yeah, I think that's very well said. And I think that's where the whole concept of pivot comes in, because I think, and tell me if you agree with me on this, is this what we're doing now? This is our pivot.
Yeah.
Because instead of focusing on all the shit, do we say shit on our show?
I say shit all the time.
Oh, we do say it.
Did you not notice that? I say shit, I say fuck, I say all of it. Sorry.
Okay, good. So just pretend that she said shit, not me. Okay. So I think like we go through this and picking the thing where we know that we can be most effective, is the answer for us, right? As it turns out, because the noise is good and it's infuriating, and I'm also agreeing with you that it's righteous, but it is not where you and I can make the most change, right? Because of our experiences, because of who we are, and because we are also rule breakers and norm breakers in our personal lives, pivoting into this absolutely brand new area of like putting our voices out and be willing to let ourselves seen is a huge way of like picking where you can make the most difference, right? And yet stay consistent with your vision, because we both want to be seen as artists. We want to make a difference. We want people to believe in the ideas of love and magic and, and inspire them. And it's not it's not the two of us yelling and like being like one of those news pundits on TV. It's us sharing our experiences and hoping that somebody else out there is going to feel inspired to go change their lives.
Exactly. And by us being two brown women,
yes,
from different cultures,
yes,
coming in and like having a mic and speaking up, that in itself, just that is like kind of revolutionary. I'm not gonna lie. I don't want to make it that, but it kind of is.
It absolutely is, because we did our research and we've talked about this before of like how little
representation
there. Exactly, right? And again, this is it's a small thing, right? We're just starting a podcast, but look at the heart and the soul that went into being here in this moment. And I think that kind of pivot, that kind of gut spontaneous changing is the perfect example of starting over. I think this is what we're supposed to do every time a new year begins, every time we turn over into a new season of like, where can I go where I can be the most impactful and share and stay authentic to myself and hopefully change the world for the better?
That's right. Thanks for listening, guys. We can't wait to have you next season where we're going to break more norms.
It's what we do.
It's what we do. So tune in. Keep following us.
Yes, please. We do need the love.
We'll have IG lives. We'll be present. We'll be around. So, let us know what you think about our show.
Yeah, follow us on Instagram at Break the Norm Podcast. So that's where we're going to be live for the next few months.
Yes.
So please join us there, and then we will be back for season 2.
Yeah, season 2. Have a happy new year. Enjoy the holidays. And
don't start over. Or start over.
Or don't listen to us. Or listen to us.
Listen to us.
Or whatever.
Or whatever feels right.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Peace.
Really? Peace? Okay.
Break the norm.
Break the norm.
All right. Thank you for tuning in today's episode of Break the Norm.
We want to give a very special shout out to the team that's making this podcast possible. SCV Studios, our editor, Eileen Hanley.
Our producer, music and sound recording, Hugo Fowler.
And before we leave, we ask people to subscribe and leave us a review. We are everywhere you listen to your podcast. And that's it. We'll be back, right? We're done?
We'll be back.